The backyard was filled with laughter, the smell of grilled prawns mixing with champagne and cologne. My brother Ryan stood on the deck of his Cottesloe mansion, glass raised, smile wide, surrounded by 40 people who'd come to celebrate his 38th birthday. I stood near the pool, holding a beer I hadn't touched, already feeling the familiar weight of being the family disappointment. Then Ryan tapped his glass. The crowd quieted. "I want to make a toast," he said, voice carrying across the perfect lawn. His eyes found mine, and I knew. I knew what was coming. To my sister Piper, who's never managed to keep a job or build anything of her own. But hey, at least she tries, right? Laughter rippled through the crowd. Awkward, polite, cutting. My parents smiled uncomfortably. His wife Julia looked away. And I just stood there, frozen, feeling every pair of eyes on me. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just set down my beer, walked through the side gate, and disappeared into the Perth night. 3 weeks later, Ryan called me, voice shaking, begging for help. He was about to lose everything, and I was the only one who could save him. My name is Piper Bradshaw. I'm 34 years old, and for most of my life I've been the black sheep. The one who couldn't figure it out. The one who job hopped, lived in modest rentals, never seemed to land on solid ground. At least that's what my family believed. My brother Ryan, on the other hand, was the golden child. Finance degree from UWA, corporate job, stunning house overlooking the ocean, beautiful wife, perfect life. Or so everyone thought. What they didn't know was that I'd been building something quietly, carefully, without fanfare. And what Ryan didn't know was that his perfect life was built on sand, about to collapse. And I was standing right there, watching. Growing up in Perth, Ryan and I were always compared. He was the achiever. I was the question mark. He got straight A's. I got, she's creative but unfocused. He played rugby. I preferred coding alone in my room. When he graduated and landed his first finance job, our parents threw a celebration dinner. When I dropped out of my marketing degree to learn software development, they asked if I was giving up again. That phrase followed me everywhere, every family gathering, every Christmas, every birthday. So, Piper, are you still at that startup? What happened to the last job? When are you going to settle down? Ryan never defended me. He joined in, actually. Little comments, always with a smile. Piper's still figuring things out. She'll get there eventually. As if my life was a problem that needed solving. If you've ever been the one everyone underestimated, this story is for you. And listen, I'd really love it if you could hit that subscribe button right now. It helps me keep sharing these real stories. And honestly, what's coming next is going to completely change how you see everything. Trust me on this one. What my family didn't know, what Ryan especially didn't know, was that I'd stopped trying to explain myself years ago. After dropping out of uni, I taught myself to code. Spent nights watching tutorials, building small apps, failing, starting over. My first app was terrible. My second was slightly less terrible. My third actually made a little money. By my fourth, I'd figured out what people needed. An app called Balance Up, a personal finance manager that made budgeting simple, visual, actually enjoyable. I built it alone in my one-bedroom apartment in Subiaco, fueled by cheap coffee and the quiet satisfaction of creating something that worked. The app launched 18 months ago. It grew slowly at first, then suddenly exploded. Within 6 months, we had 500,000 Australian users. Financial blogs wrote about it. Influencers recommended it. Then the offers started coming. Tech companies wanting to buy, invest, partner. I was careful. I talked to lawyers, financial advisors, people who understood the industry. Finally, I accepted an offer from one of Australia's largest fintech companies. They bought 60% of Balance Up for $3.8 million. I kept 40% and a director position with a salary that made my head spin. Overnight, I went from the sister who can't hold a job to a millionaire. But I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents, not my friends, and definitely not Ryan. Why? Because I wanted to see if they'd respect me without knowing. I wanted to see if my worth to them depended on a number in my bank account. And I got my answer at Ryan's birthday party. When he called me useless in front of 40 people, I knew. My value to him, to all of them, had always been conditional. And I was done playing that game. Ryan's mansion was impressive. 5 bedrooms, infinity pool, ocean views that made you forget you were even in a city. He and Julia hosted constantly, always showing off, always performing success. What I didn't know, what nobody knew, was that it was all smoke and mirrors. Ryan had been living on credit for years. The house was mortgaged to the ceiling. The cars were leased. The holidays were financed. He'd made bad investments trying to impress clients, borrowed against his bonuses, refinanced multiple times. And when the market shifted and his firm downsized, everything came crashing down. 3 weeks after his birthday party, my phone rang at 11 p.m. Ryan's name flashed on the screen. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Piper. His voice was wrecked, barely recognizable. I need help. I said nothing, just waited. I'm losing the house. The bank gave me 60 days. I owe $850,000 and I don't have it. I've tried everything. I've asked everyone. You're the only person left. Silence stretched between us. Why would I help you, Ryan? I asked quietly. You called me useless, in front of everyone. He broke. I heard it happen. The sob that came through the phone was raw, desperate. I know. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I've been wrong about you for years. Please, I'm begging you. Have you ever had someone who hurt you come crawling back? Drop the word karma in the comments if you've been there. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. What happens next is the turning point you've been waiting for. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence sit there, heavy and uncomfortable. Let him feel what I'd felt standing in his backyard, humiliated, dismissed. How much do you need? I finally asked. The full amount, $850. I know it's impossible. I know you don't have that kind of money. But if you could lend me anything, even $50,000, maybe I could. I have it, I said. The line went dead quiet. What? I have the money, Ryan. All of it. I could hear him trying to process. How? You can't. You never asked what I do, I said simply. You decided I was useless, and you never looked deeper. But I've been building something, and it's been very, very successful. I told him about Balance Up, about the sale, about the money sitting in my account, more than enough to save his house and still have plenty left over. He was speechless. When he finally spoke, his voice was small. Why didn't you tell us? Because I wanted to see if you'd respect me without knowing. And you didn't. More silence. Then, will you help me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no, to let him lose everything, to watch karma play out. But another part, a deeper part, remembered the brother who used to build Lego with me before the comparisons started, the one who wasn't always performing. I'll help you, I said. But there are conditions. Anything. You're going to tell the truth. To Julia, to Mom and Dad, to everyone who was at that party. You're going to admit what you did, what you've been hiding, and you're going to apologize to me, publicly, in front of the same people who heard you call me useless. He exhaled shakily. Okay, yes, I'll do it. And one more thing, I added. You're going to change, actually change. No more living for appearances. No more judging people by their bank accounts. No more treating me like I'm less than you. I will, he whispered. I promise. Good, I said. I'll transfer the money tomorrow. The next day, I sat in my apartment staring at my laptop screen. $850,000. It was a lot of money. But it wasn't really about the money. It was about drawing a line, about showing Ryan, showing all of them, that value isn't measured by what people see. It's measured by what you build when no one's watching. I clicked transfer. The amount disappeared from my account and landed in Ryan's. An hour later, he called, crying. "It's done. The bank confirmed. The house is safe. Piper, I don't know how to thank you." "You can start by keeping your promise," I said. 2 weeks later, Ryan hosted another gathering. Same house, same deck, but the energy was completely different. This time, it wasn't a celebration. It was a reckoning. 30 people gathered, mostly family and close friends. My parents, Julia's parents, our cousins, the people who'd been at the birthday party. Everyone looked confused, uncertain. Ryan stood in the center, hands shaking, face pale. Julia stood beside him, her own expression a mixture of shock and support. She'd learned the truth, and it had almost broken them. But they were trying. This is it. The moment everything shifts. Stay with me, because what Ryan says next is going to hit you hard. And please, if you're enjoying this, subscribe. You don't want to miss how this ends. Ryan cleared his throat. "Thank you all for coming. I need to say some things I should have said a long time ago." He looked around the circle, then his eyes landed on me. 3 weeks ago at my birthday, I made a toast. I called my sister useless. I laughed about her not having a career, not building anything. And some of you laughed with me. Discomfort rippled through the group. I was wrong, completely, devastatingly wrong. He paused, gathering himself. "The truth is, I've been lying to all of you. This house, this life, it's been built on debt. I owed $850,000. I was 60 days from losing everything." Gasps, whispers. His mother's hand flew to her mouth. "I've been hiding it for years, living beyond my means, trying to look successful while drowning. And when everything fell apart, I had nowhere to turn." He looked at me again, tears forming. Except Piper, the sister I called useless. The one I dismissed and judged and treated like she'd never amount to anything. His voice cracked. "She saved me. She paid the entire debt. She saved this house, my marriage, my life. And she did it because she's built something extraordinary that none of us knew about because we never bothered to ask." The silence was deafening. My mother looked at me, confusion and shame mixing in her expression. My father's face had gone pale. Ryan continued. "Piper created an app called Balance Up. She sold it for millions. She's more successful than I've ever been, and I spent years making her feel small. I'm sorry, Piper. I'm so sorry. You deserved better from me, from all of us." He stepped toward me. "Thank you for saving me when you had every reason not to, for being bigger than I've ever been." I stood there, feeling every emotion at once: vindication, relief, sadness for all the years wasted. My mother spoke first, voice trembling. "Piper, we had no idea. We should have asked. We should have seen." "You should have respected me either way," I said gently, "whether I was successful or not. Whether I had money or not. I'm your daughter. Your sister." That should have been enough. Tears streamed down her face. My father stepped forward. "You're right. And we're sorry. Truly." Julia approached me, her own eyes red. "You saved our family. I don't know how to thank you." I looked at her, then at Ryan. "Help him become someone worth saving. Help him be real." She nodded. "I will." The gathering dispersed slowly, people coming up to me, apologizing, asking questions, seeing me for the first time. It wasn't comfortable, it wasn't clean, but it was honest. and that was more than we'd ever had. In the months that followed, Ryan changed. Really changed. He sold one of the cars, downsized his lifestyle, started seeing a therapist to work through the shame and the need for external validation. He got a new job, more modest but stable. He and Julia rebuilt their marriage on transparency instead of performance. And slowly, carefully, he and I rebuilt our relationship. We met for coffee once a week. He asked about my work, genuinely curious. He introduced me to his friends as my brilliant sister. He stopped performing and started living. My parents struggled more with the shift. They'd spent decades invested in one narrative, and rewriting it was painful. But they tried. My mother asked about balance up, wanted to understand what I'd built. My father admitted he'd judged me unfairly. We weren't perfect. Families never are. But we were real, and that mattered more than I'd realized. As for me, I kept building. I launched a second app. I invested in other startups. I bought a beautiful apartment overlooking the Swan River. I lived the life I'd always wanted, not to prove anything to anyone, but because I finally believed I deserved it. The money was nice, but the real wealth was in knowing my value didn't depend on anyone else's opinion. I'd always been enough. I just needed to believe it. If someone has ever made you feel small, invisible, or useless, I want you to hear this. Their words say more about them than they ever will about you. Your worth isn't determined by who sees it. It's determined by what you build when no one's looking, how you show up when it matters, and whether you stay true to yourself when the world tells you to be someone else. What do you think? Did I do the right thing helping Ryan? Or should I have let him face the consequences alone? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. More powerful, real stories are coming your way. Thank you for being here. And remember, the people who underestimate you today might need you tomorrow. How you respond says everything about who you really are.